new member, you know, having someone specific is great, but, you know, Mike has been great, Russ, but Nick as well, Tammy, I lean over her often in meetings and ask a question, that if I don't get, not the new chairman yet, but the old chairman had get on to me a couple times, I did something wrong procedurally, but, you know, so I would say that overall, we do have, very, you know, Mindy, Link, obviously Brett, past members that just, you know, people are very, willing, I think, to help, so, having somebody dedicated is great, but I like just in general how, willing people are to help.
Awesome. Next slide.
Well, by the way, I'm not blowing blue smoke up John's butt, but all the new county board members, they're doing a great job of asking, of caring, of investigating. It takes two. It takes the person who has the experience and the knowledge to share that, but it takes somebody who appears to care, to want to know, and you gotta have both in order to be successful, and I think we do. All of our new people, even some who are not here, are on the phone with me just last night, and
That's awesome.
you know, made their explained why they couldn't be here, and they really wanted to be because they're new and they wanted to learn all this stuff, but they had an irrevocable conflict.
And you mentioned something earlier that I was waiting for this portion to share. You talked about how you learn from the new members as well.
I do.
And that's a valuable relationship between a mentor and a mentee. Because the mentor learns from the mentee. And it goes both ways. There's power in that.
And one message to the seniors is try to not respond with, oh, we tried that and it didn't work. Because things change. Maybe it didn't work 10 years ago, or in my case, 49 years ago. But it might work today because there's other differences today.
That's right.
So, yeah, it's really important to, and we, needless to say, listen to what we've been doing since we got in here. There's a lot of challenges in Tazewell County. And I was just talking to Michael, we're gonna have to have a great prioritization process because we can't do it all.
That's right.
With not just the money, we don't have the resolve and the bandwidth and the manpower. So we've got to figure out how we can get the most for the least because the resources are limited. Hard, very hard.
Before we move, I when you start naming names, Greg and Greg also, I couldn't. I'm getting in trouble already, the judge.
It's so funny.
Too late, me. You already dropped me off.
We figured out who the real politician in the room is.
Next bullet point we talked about already also.
Hang on, I think Mike did.
As a department head, I like the interaction with board members. I love when they come to me and ask questions. I'll never forget Mindy wasn't even part of the property, and she would always ask me questions when she was a board member. Now being, you know, in the office, she kind of gets a real view of what we do on a daily basis. We do what we do every day, every department head. And we just do what we do and we take it for granted. Asking those questions kind of, you know, brings to light the concerns of the board members or, you know, how can we do it better? But I like hearing from board members, or I like them to be involved. If the board member asks me a question, I have never had a problem answering the question of where we at, what I do know and don't know.
I think Mike brought that up during our individual board member meetings. They're talking about how if any board member has a question, just go to the individual departments. They would love to see you. They welcome you. They'll talk to you.
There's a lot of interaction that, or a lot of stuff that takes place every day in our departments that we take for granted.
Yeah.
You know, asking us sometimes takes us out of that realm a little bit to focus in.
Anything else about the mentoring before we move on? improve our IT infrastructure, software and hardware, we talked about that, kind of ad nauseam, it's, yes, sir, Brett?
I got a quick thing, this is just board members that you had pulled stuff from, right?
Yes,
I mean,
right here, yes.
okay. So, I guess one thing that I would like to reiterate as you go through all these different things, the asterisks were the ones that everybody did.
Alignment with the department heads as well.
The
Yes.
people who do it on a daily basis, the department heads, the electeds, the board, everybody does that. And go back and look at all the different things that are brought up, and the ones that have the asterisks are the ones I think that we should really make sure that we work on.
Focus on?
Because they're the ones doing the daily tasks. So,
And again, what I look for when I do strategic plans with units of government is alignment. So I know if there's an alignment, things are gonna function, it's gonna get done, right? So if the board sees it one way and the staff sees it another way, you're out of alignment. In here, there's a lot of alignment on these major issues. You're in tow, right? Just like your car, when it's out of alignment, it's little back and forth, you guys are aligned on major issues, which is fantastic. Next one, and for me, you have to apologize, my ignorance here, I don't know what is what, different terms are used, this could be the courthouse also, I don't know. But it's, that's a nice typo, build county annex facility, it eliminates some current facilities. I have that under maintenance improvements, that goes back to what I mentioned before about not just adding to, but eliminating some of the old. Is the county annex facility the same thing as the courthouse?
Mhm.
Okay, so I think I'm beating a dead horse on that one then. The only addition, this board member talked about eliminating older facilities.
Well, that's important because it's like a car, you know. You don't wanna go out and buy a new car every year, although I have friends that do that, in order to stay away from all garages. But most people can't afford that. But when you try to patch or fix or keep a car on the road, eventually you end up spending way too much money and you gotta break down and get a new vehicle. Same is true of our county buildings. We got one county building that I voted no on buying, and we shouldn't have bought it on day one. And it's been limping around and costing us money, and it's ineffective, and doesn't really house departments well. I mean, it's all bad and really no good. And, Nick and other people on the board have said, why do we have that place? And the answer is, we shouldn't. We ought to dump it, or sell it if we can. So, yeah, that's big, that's an important thing, because that's a way to free up a little bit of money to put towards some of the building that you need to do.
Other thoughts about that? Yes?
From the maintenance side of things, I have to agree wholeheartedly. They're expensive to maintain, they're still not, adequate for what we use them for, or, even staff, complain because, they're just old buildings, and they just don't meet the functionality that the operations of those departments. We're limping along on some of these buildings, and it's like, do we put more money into it, or we wait to see where we go? So it's a tough decision from my perspective on a daily basis, of how much do I put in this building to maintain it, and how much do I put into it to just, make it better?
Moving down to the next one, it was brought up that the potential to hire a grant administrator to increase county revenue. I put that in the financial management bucket, it's basically investing in yourselves to grow yourselves.
The board said that? I mean, I think it's a great idea, but that's another person, so, we have to balance that out, but certainly, there are opportunities for a position like that for us.
Is this something that we would have as an action item? I know we talked about software the other night that can work we were talking the other night about.
Oh, about the
program.
grant software.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, grant software.
Yeah.
That may be an alternative to actually bringing to hiring someone.
I mean, your grant software is more going to track and report, and they often have, I saw one this week that has functionality to like help you maybe seek out some, but a grant
It's not right.
administrator is gonna be the one who knows how to most effectively go and get the grant. Like, there's a lot of paperwork that goes with grants, so in order to be able to go get grants, you have to have the time to spend in getting them, putting all the information in, tracking them, reporting them. There's a lot to it.
And that's the hard part.
And then maintain it.
It's
Yes.
administering it after you get it.
Yeah.
And it's not a cheap position, cause they're
Correct.
trying to do it in Peoria for government, to hire someone, and then the unfunded mandates, if you don't have the person who knows what they're doing, and then you're adding on to health and other costs, it's a very tricky position. And then having someone that does all the reporting, cause we do it all now, like we do our own grants, I think everyone does.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Does the grant administrator increase revenue to cover existing costs, or is it for new projects?
Both.
Both. They would manage our
Combination.
current grants and be very useful in that realm, and then they would also help us go get more.
It also depends on if you get the grant.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I
Hopefully-
guess my question is that, are we increasing the revenue to do new things, or to cover things we're already doing?
Oh,
That's a
both,
big difference.
both.
Well, yeah, both, that's the answer.
Aren't there firms that you can hire to do that for you without having a payroll staff person?
Well, you gotta watch out when you're, okay, what I've done for the last 30 years, and there's people in this room who will testify because I bug them a lot, and Mindy's one of them, and Michael's another one. I try to take, cause we need that, but we don't have it. So we can't just go without. So what I try to do is take existing organizations who have grant capability, like UCCI, like Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, like there's, it used to be, the Economic Development Group that I ran. They have functionality for grants in various areas that tie directly into what we do. So I've tried to, you know, get the most out of that without having a personnel cost go into our budget. You know, there are limits to how much good you can get, because, like, for example, with UCCI, there's 89 other counties who wanna do the same thing. And, so, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I do support this, and, but I don't stop and just not try to get grants. When I was the auditor, actually grants administrator was another hat that I wore. So I got the courts, probation department, I got cars and equipment for them and things like that. But it's challenging. And then the other thing is, once you get it, you gotta have time to commit to, maintaining it, reporting, cause those people don't give you money for, they wanna have, you know, status on what's going on, how you're protecting their, asset. Anyway, it's real important that, but boy, you gotta get the right person, and you gotta get the right skill set in that person, cause counties are not like a lot of other places. We have a myriad of functions, and that's one of the reasons this is taking so long. We go around the room and, you know, everybody's, if they're gonna share, they're gonna tell you, wow. So, some of you maybe have heard concerns that you maybe hadn't heard before you came in here. Well, the person that said it, they live with those all the time, whether it's law enforcement or criminal justice or financial management or county administration. They live with that every day. And they have needs that come up, I would say every week. This is not easy stuff. When you ran for the county board, you probably didn't think of all these things, but these are important to think about and to do
Sure.
something about.
Yeah, right now it's very much on the departments themselves for the most part, to try to get those grants and search them. I'm on some lists, so we have been awarded grants before and have even applied for some more recently to try to help for facilities and different items. grants is to me one half of it, the other part two, to try to get more on the revenue side, is lobbyists. So it's something that we've done previously in the county, we don't do now, but, there are other organizations that use lobbyists to try to get more federal funding. Dan will talk about roads more on Wednesday, and how the funding and our ability to keep open has declined, so it's the other part of it too, is there any willingness to try to get more revenue into our community and those things?
Yes, sir.
I guess to provide a real life one, we've turned down a grant from the Justice Department, the United States Justice Department, because the sheriff would have to hire a person just to record and report all that information to pay for the one person that would be receiving the grant. So there's no benefit to it because we don't have somebody internal to be able to do all of the tracking and reporting. When he said it was department to department, so we are currently turning down grant funding, for elections and for the sheriff's office. It's covering sheriff's office costs for elections because we don't have the staff individual available to report it.
We'll move on to the next. And this is basically looking at all the facilities, improve, repair, and maintain the county facilities. I put that under maintenance and improvement. So look at your current facilities.
We have potholes built. We just got it, we're an elevator issue, in the process of found another one. It's expensive to maintain some of these buildings. We have state federal requirements for inspection. And some buildings being outdated, have older equipment that's gonna cost us more money to maintain. So we just need to, I know we're looking at new buildings, I'm looking forward to seeing a new building, but there'll be costs associated with that as well.
Within the facilities department, we're working on what I would call a master facilities plan, where he's got new software, Mike's got a new software that he's working on implementing, where it'll track all of our different buildings and the different components, the air handlers, down to the different components, how often we need to replace them, so that we do get on that good schedule from both, budgeting standpoint and also doing the work. So part of it is doing the master plan and carrying out the capital improvement plans that we have budgeted right now. We created the CIP fund 2 years ago, I think it is at this point now, and so we continue to try to make good progress on those projects.
And that's really, really important because these resolutions that over the years, Mike, you remember, we'd pass these emergency resolutions, and that's really because we didn't do the proper maintenance. I mean, every once in a while a storm will come and rip a part of a roof off that you really couldn't have had maintenance to avoid. But a lot of it is stuff that if we would have put the money or the time or the effort in, we could have avoided a bigger cost. And so this kinds of technology helps get ahead of that. And so we all need to support when our administration wants to do things like that.
It's
gonna
taking more of a
help us.
maintenance, perspective on these buildings. When I got here, it was more of a custodial type of, service that was being provided. And I worked to, us doing the maintenance and monitoring that a lot closer. We've had a lot of cost savings as part of that. It doesn't seem like it, but a lot of our systems have improved. When I first walked in the door, all I saw was contractors walking back and forth and pointing fingers at each other for issues that were going on. And I had to kind of get rid of some of those people and step back and look to see what we could do to improve that. This maintenance program is gonna increase us even more. It's not something that just our maintenance department will be able to utilize. Dan's department will be able to utilize this and maintain his trucks and justify every purchase he makes and every repair he has to make as part of this thing. So it's gonna be very beneficial to the county, I believe.
Next one we we have there is, I put it under a management bucket, it was mentioned to update countywide policies. Anybody want to speak to that?
Well, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'll say personally, I have that on my department's goals is to review, update, financial, policies and procedures. And I know Mike has just like the county as a whole. We have a variety on our list of ones that we think probably need our attention first, but we have some pretty old policies and procedures. It is something that we need to spend some time on.
We have a rules committee, and, all the board rules are sort of the jurisdiction of that rules committee. And the truth is, Beth's gonna kick me, but, we really ran out of some time prior to reorg on December 3rd to go through all the rules again. Now, Mike will tell you that we spent a couple of years going through those, but there are some needs and modifications that are necessary now. And so, that's gonna be on the agenda of the rules committee. And we wanna continue being very, transparent. So we had a lot of county officers and department heads used to regularly attend those meetings, and that's a good thing, cause then they can provide input. Am I in trouble, Fred?
So it came up during the, it only came up once, but it came up during the conversation. Improved public transportation, benches at the stops.
I don't understand it. I work in North Beacon. We have a bus stop in front of our business in North Beacon. There are people standing out there and leaning on our vehicles, and that bus route is not new. We've been working with the, Peoria Transport and all that stuff for 2 decades, and I don't understand how we don't have some kind of infrastructure. I feel like we've never fully committed to that program. Why don't we have benches or marks saying bus stop or anything, throughout the county? So, yeah, I brought that up. That was like a little tiny thing in one session, so.
I think that's like fire departments, they're municipal things, not county things.
Okay, well, I mean, and I don't know.
But, I mean, there's something that we could get out of, most of the stuff we're adding, but,
I don't wanna act, well, are we either in or out? What are we doing here? Just having people stand on the side of the road?
well, there's somebody whose job it is.
Yeah.
I think.
North Beacon's job.
Okay, so then it's Beacon's job down by Goodfellow or Old Goodfellow or wherever.
That's right.
Well, I mean, it's trite, but I think we've talked about safety since Wednesday night, and you mentioned when you brought that up, that you've seen several times people at that, couple of those stops laying down
Yeah.
at the stop,
Yeah. Yeah, we got 20 or 30 minutes to wait, so yeah.
falling asleep, I mean, that's a safety issue, so.
We have the same issue downtown, but mostly what you find is the homeless people in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say they could be homeless, somebody's.
We clean it up and the next day it's back in trash.
It seems like a simple fix, so
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to single you
No,
out,
no, no,
I'm
no.
just saying, it doesn't seem like a big discussion,
Great
it seems
idea.
like a simple fix.
Well, in Chicago, park benches aren't made big enough so that people can lay down on them. They're only, just a seat wide.
Right.
For a reason, so people don't camp out down there.
We're still gonna try to figure out champions for some of these things too, right?
If we have time, otherwise we'll, Michael and I will kind of.
Excuse me. Okay.
No, I don't like that. That's sort of bad.
Never mind, they're gonna have a new nickname, park bench.
Alright, we'll move on to the next one. Digitize paperwork, process in the works. I think that goes along with technology as well. Accept credit card payments at each county office was brought up. Is that being done now with each county office? Most of them.
No,
Simple what?
not at all. In community development, we don't, right?
just started yesterday.
Yeah.
But that was a part of us seeking out how to do that on our own, and staff having to take the time to figure that out because we don't do it countywide.
Okay, so it's different systems?
And do you have a highway?
No, we discussed it. I now have a brain to pick.
Well, now we have a pilot program here, and that's cause she's got this great supportive land use committee.
That goes a little bit to the technology, we're talking about that enough, or a lot to highlight. We did outsource it, so Hart takes care of our hardware environment, general support items for Microsoft products. They're not there though to help guide us implementing software, that's kind of outside of their realm. So that's one of the things I mentioned. We didn't have that before in the county really either, so going to them didn't change anything, but it is something consideration in the future if the board wants a position for someone to help guide people with implementing these different software technologies that would be outside the scope of Hart that we would need to do separately.
We use the same payment processor, with new development, and we don't.
No, and that's what we found as we asked questions, that everyone had just kind of done it on their own, and it was, well, go seek out the company, then we'll see if they work with us, and so, I mean, I really had no idea what I was doing, but it was just asking the questions and saying, okay, how do we implement this? But yeah, there was really nobody to talk to that said, oh, here, contact them, or let me handle that for you, since that's not something that you do. So that's why we kind of talked about it for a few years, and then it was finally like, we need to do this.
I would imagine I know that there's credit card processing companies specific that would probably look at what we're doing through departments and give us a better rate for whatever contract, and actually give us, your card readers at all, be able to do it through the website, on the back end. I don't know is it WordPress that we've done the website through, or?
Well, it gets a little challenging because most of it, we'll say for Jackie, she's got a specific software, and that vendor may have, just a few people that they work with that, Jackie may have had a limited choice of, we work with these 2 or 3 people. Then, health department, may have a software that only has 2 or 3 people. The other part with government is we do it a little differently in the private sector where, the fees are built into your cost